most people searching for affordable retirement destinations land on the same short list. Portugal, Spain, Mexico. And sure, those places genuinely deliver. But the conversation almost never goes deeper than the obvious. There are countries where your $1,200 a month buys not just a roof and groceries, but a full, rich, comfortable life. Countries with world-class cuisine, warm climates, excellent healthcare, and expat communities that are already thriving. Countries that most retirement planning guides have not caught up to yet. What we have put together here is a list of 15 destinations where the combination of cost, climate, visa accessibility, and lifestyle quality makes them genuinely worth your attention. Some are in Europe. Some are in Asia. Some are places you may not have considered at all. And as you will see, our top pick offers something the others simply cannot match. Keep in mind, the figures presented here are approximations meant to give you a sense of the cost of living. Always verify with up-to-date sources before making any decisions. Without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 15, the Algarve, Portugal. Stretching across Portugal's southern coast, the Algarve is home to some of the most consistently beautiful coastline in all of Europe. Towns like Lagos, Tavira, and Faro offer a mix of Atlantic beaches, whitewashed architecture, and a relaxed Mediterranean pace of life. The climate delivers over 300 sunny days a year, which is among the highest in continental Europe. For English-speaking expats, the infrastructure here is unusually mature. Healthcare, banking, grocery imports, and English language services are all well established. Beach access is effectively unlimited, and the region has strong rail and road links to Lisbon. Monthly costs run around $1,700 to $1,900 all in for a comfortable lifestyle. Rent for a one-bedroom in town typically falls between $900 and $1,500 per month. Entry-level property starts around $180,000 to $320,000. Portugal's D7 passive income visa is a well-trodden route to legal residency, requiring proof of regular passive income. On the downside, high season from June through August can effectively double prices in the tourist-heavy areas, and rental availability outside of summer months can be surprisingly thin. Number 14, Puglia, Italy. Puglia sits at the heel of the Italian boot, flanked by both the Adriatic and Ionian seas. Towns like Lecce and Ostuni offer a quality of life that is genuinely hard to price. The architecture is Baroque and distinctive, the food is some of Italy's best, and the coastline is dotted with turquoise coves that most of Europe has not fully discovered yet. What makes Puglia particularly attractive for foreign retirees is the Italian 7% flat tax on foreign pension income, available in towns with a population under 20,000. That is a meaningful advantage for anyone drawing a pension from the US, UK, or Canada. Monthly living costs tend to settle around $1,600 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom typically runs $600 to $1,000. Entry-level property starts at $80,000, and trolley houses, those distinctive conical-roofed stone dwellings, can still be found under €100,000. Residency falls under Italy's elective residency visa, which requires demonstrable passive income of roughly €31,000 per year. However, rural infrastructure in the south lags noticeably behind northern Italy. Train connections are infrequent, and hospital access outside the main cities requires planning. Summer crowds in the Salento beach towns are also a real consideration. Number 13, Plovdiv, Bulgaria. Plovdiv is one of the most underrated cities in Eastern Europe, full stop. As a European capital of culture in 2019, it has a genuine arts and cafe scene anchored in one of the best preserved old towns on the continent. Cobblestone streets, Roman ruins, and revival period houses share the same few square kilometers. It is also roughly 25% cheaper than Sofia, Bulgaria's capital, which is itself already inexpensive by EU standards. Monthly costs here run between $700 and $1,100. Rent for a one-bedroom typically falls in the $350 to $600 range. Entry-level property starts around $50,000, which is among the lowest figures in this entire list. Residency is accessible via Bulgaria's long-stay D visa. Bulgaria is an EU member state, which adds legal stability and a pathway toward broader European residency rights. The honest caveats: Plovdiv's international airport is small, and most international connections require a transit through Sofia. Outside the city centre, English is limited, which matters more the further you go from the old town. Number 12. Cluj-Napoca, Romania. Cluj-Napoca sits in the heart of Transylvania in northwest Romania and has established itself as one of Eastern Europe's most dynamic mid-sized cities. It hosts a large university population, a growing tech sector, and an English fluency level that is noticeably higher than most cities at this price point. Monthly costs sit in the $800 to $1,300 range. Rent for a one-bedroom runs $450 to $750. Entry-level property falls between $80,000 and $160,000. Romania operates a 10% flat income tax, which is attractive for those establishing tax residency. For digital nomads, Romania's digital nomad visa requires a demonstrated foreign income of roughly €3,950 per month. For retirees, a long-stay visa provides an alternative route. On the downside, Romanian bureaucracy is genuinely heavy, and this is a complaint that surfaces repeatedly in the expat community. Winters are also harsh, with temperatures regularly dropping well below freezing. Number 11. Da Nang and Hoi An, Vietnam. Central Vietnam's coast is one of Asia's most compelling and still underpriced lifestyle destinations. Da Nang offers modern infrastructure, a long sandy beach, and fast improving international connectivity. Hoi An, just 30 kilometers south, is a UNESCO World Heritage town of lantern-lit streets, tailors, and riverside cafes that operates at a genuinely different pace. Together they represent one of the best cost-to-quality ratios on this list. Monthly costs run between $700 and $1,200 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom falls typically between $400 and $700. Entry-level property, where foreigners can access it, ranges from $80,000 to $180,000. That word "where" matters here. Vietnam does not permit foreigners to own land outright. Only 50-year leasehold arrangements are available. More critically, Vietnam has no formal retirement visa. Long-term stays require creativity, rolling tourist visas, business arrangements, or investor pathways. This is the most significant structural limitation on this list, and it deserves to be said plainly before you start browsing property listings. Number 10. Mérida, Yucatan, Mexico. Mérida is consistently rated as the safest large city in Mexico by official statistics, which already sets it apart in a country where that question matters to most prospective expats. The colonial center is handsome and walkable, the food scene draws on deep Yucatecan tradition, and private healthcare in the city is both genuinely good and low-cost relative to North American standards. Monthly costs land between $1,100 and $1,700. Rent for a one-bedroom in the center runs $500 to $900. Entry-level property starts around $80,000. Mexico's temporary residency requires roughly $3,000 per month in verifiable income or about $50,000 in savings. Permanent residency thresholds are higher, at approximately $5,000 per month or $200,000 in savings. One important flag: those income thresholds increased by around 30% in 2023, catching some prospective applicants off guard. And April through September in Mérida is legitimately brutal. Temperatures regularly exceed 35 degrees Celsius with high humidity, and this is not a detail to overlook. Number 9. Punta Cana and Bavaro, the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic tends to get filed under resort destination in most people's mental maps, which means its residency advantages are routinely overlooked. The country offers one of the fastest citizenship timelines in the Americas, with naturalization possible roughly 2 years after obtaining residency. That is a genuine draw for those building long-term offshore optionality. Monthly costs run $1,200 to $1,900 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $600 and $1,100. Entry-level property starts from $100,000 to $250,000. The Pensionado program requires a pension of $1,500 per month. The Rentista category requires $2,000 per month in passive income. Year-round Caribbean climate and direct flights to the US, Canada, and major European hubs are real advantages. The honest counterweight is that the resort zone of Punta Cana is genuinely its own bubble, and leaving it changes the experience sharply. Hurricane season running from June through November also requires preparation and property insurance planning. Number 8. Chiang Mai, Thailand. Chiang Mai has been on the long-term expat radar for decades, and it remains on this list for a straightforward reason: the lifestyle-to-cost ratio is still hard to beat. The city sits in northern Thailand's mountains, with a cooler feel than Bangkok, a 700-year-old moated old city at its core, and a healthcare system that routinely surprises arrivals with its quality and affordability. Monthly costs run $800 to $1,400. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $350 and $700. Entry-level property, where foreigners can legally hold it, starts around $60,000 to $150,000, though only condo units can be held in a foreigner's name outright. Thailand has expanded its visa options noticeably in recent years. The retirement visa, known as the OA, requires applicants to be 50 or over, with $24,000 deposited in a Thai bank account or a pension of at least $1,800 per month. The long-term resident visa is a 10-year option requiring $80,000 in annual income. The newer Destination Thailand visa introduced in 2024 offers a 5-year multi-entry option with a savings threshold of $14,000, opening a much more accessible digital nomad path. Hot season from March through May is severe, and agricultural burning creates air quality problems that are not trivial. Plan any extended stay with that calendar in mind. Number 7. Abruzzo, Italy. Abruzzo sits between the Apennine Mountains and the Adriatic coast in central Italy. It is genuinely one of the country's most overlooked regions, and that is increasingly seen as an advantage by those who have already moved there. Within 90 minutes you can be skiing in the Gran Sasso National Park or sitting on an Adriatic beach. The food, wine, and pace of life carry all of the Italian hallmarks without the tourist saturation of Tuscany or the coast town pricing of the Sancte. Monthly costs sit around $1,100 to $1,700. Rent for a one-bedroom runs $450 to $800. Entry-level property here starts from $40,000, and hilltop village houses can still be found under €50,000. That is among the lowest property entry points in Western Europe. The 7% pensioner flat tax applies here as in Puglia, under Italy's elective residency visa framework. The caveats are notable. Abruzzo sits in a seismically active zone, and earthquake risk is a genuine factor that should be incorporated into any property decision. Rural connectivity is also limited, and international access requires routing through Rome or Pescara. Number 6. Porto, Portugal. Porto occupies a different register to the Algarve. Where the south is sun-baked and coastal, Porto is a working Atlantic city of bridges, port wine cellars, azulejo tiles, and a culinary scene that has quietly become one of Europe's most respected. It is also roughly 25% cheaper than Lisbon while offering most of the same urban amenities, and the expat community has grown steadily over the past 5 years. Monthly costs run between $1,400 and $2,000 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom falls in the $800 to $1,300 range. Entry-level property starts around $160,000 to $280,000. Like the Algarve, Portugal's D7 passive income visa is the primary residency pathway, offering a structured route to long-term EU residency and, eventually, citizenship. That said, Porto's winters are cold and damp by Iberian standards, which catches some arrivals off guard after reading about Portugal's sunshine hours. More pressing is the rental market. Availability has tightened considerably, and competition for well-priced central apartments is real and growing. Number 5. Panama City, Panama. Panama City stands apart from most of this list in one fundamental way: it uses the US dollar as its official currency. For American retirees especially, that removes an entire layer of financial uncertainty. The city also operates under a territorial tax system, meaning foreign-sourced income is generally not taxed locally. Monthly costs run $1,500 to $2,300. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $900 and $1,500. Entry-level property ranges from $150,000 to $350,000. But the headline draw for most retirees is the Pensioner program, which requires only $1,000 per month in verified pension income and delivers one of the strongest benefit packages for retirees anywhere in the world: 25% off restaurant bills, 50% off hotels, 25% off airfare, and 20% off medical services. First world hospital infrastructure is available in the city, the climate is tropical year-round, and direct flights connect easily to North American hubs. The honest side, the humidity is relentless, city traffic is severe by any measure, and those pensioner discounts apply only once residency is formalized, not during the application period. Number 4. Tbilisi, Georgia. Georgia, the country, not the US state, offers something genuinely unusual. Citizens of over 95 countries can stay for up to 1 year visa-free with a simple border crossing to reset. That level of access is rare globally, and for those who want to test a destination before committing to a formal residency process, it changes the calculus entirely. Monthly costs in Tbilisi run $700 to $1,200. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $400 and $700. Entry-level property starts around $60,000 to $130,000. Georgia's individual entrepreneur scheme offers a 1% income tax rate for sole proprietors with turnover under roughly $155,000, which has attracted a significant community of remote workers and self-employed expats. Beyond the finances, Tbilisi is a city of genuine character, a distinctive food culture, ancient churches alongside Soviet-era blocks, a thriving wine tradition, and a reputation for personal safety that consistently surprises first-time visitors. The real limitations are geopolitical. Georgia is not an EU member and has no active EU accession pathway. The proximity to the Russian border is a factor some prospective residents weigh seriously. Georgian script makes daily navigation challenging, and Russian is more common than English outside the expat-dense neighborhoods. Number 3. The Central Valley, Costa Rica. Costa Rica's Central Valley, anchored by towns like Aitnars, Grecia, and the more developed Escazú, has a climate that is often described as perpetual spring. At elevation, the heat and humidity of the coasts are replaced by warm days and cool evenings, and the surrounding landscape is genuinely beautiful. Costa Rica is one of the most politically stable democracies in Latin America, has had no standing military since 1948, and scores consistently well on environmental and healthcare metrics. The Pensioner residency program requires only $1,000 per month in verified pension income, which is a notably low threshold compared with many competing destinations. The Rentista category requires $2,500 per month in passive income. Monthly costs run $1,500 to $2,300 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $700 and $1,200. Entry-level property starts around $180,000 to $350,000. Savvy investors have already started buying in the Central Valley, and prices in Aitnars and Escazú have reflected that attention. The structural downside is the cost of imported goods, particularly vehicles and electronics, which are taxed heavily and priced far above what North American buyers expect. Infrastructure quality outside the San Jose metro area can also be significantly rougher. Number 2. Alicante and the Costa Blanca, Spain. Alicante delivers something that most of Europe's coastal options cannot: Mediterranean sunshine on a genuinely affordable budget. Over 320 sunny days a year, a long urban beach directly accessible from the city centre, and a large, established British and Northern European expat base that has been in place for decades. It is consistently one of the cheapest Mediterranean coastal options for Western buyers. Monthly costs sit at $1,300 to $1,900. Rent for a one-bedroom runs $700 to $1,100. Entry-level property starts around $110,000 to $220,000. Residency falls under Spain's non-lucrative visa, which requires proof of sufficient passive income and health insurance. The trade-offs are mild but worth naming. Certain parts of the Costa Blanca are heavily oriented toward British package tourism, which shapes the character of those specific areas noticeably. Summer heat exceeds 35 degrees Celsius for extended stretches, and while that suits many buyers, it is a legitimate consideration. Number 1. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Puerto Vallarta earns the top position on this list because it is one of the very few destinations where a full, comfortable, socially connected expat life is genuinely available at a cost that does not require compromise. Pacific beach access, jungle-backed hills, a well-established international airport with direct U.S. connections, and one of the most welcoming and diverse expat communities in Latin America. Monthly costs run $1,300 to $2,000 all in. Rent for a one-bedroom falls between $800 and $1,400. Entry-level property starts from $200,000, higher than some on this list, but the lifestyle return on that investment is arguably unmatched. Mexico's temporary and permanent residency pathways apply here as in Mérida. The community dimension here is notable. Puerto Vallarta has long hosted one of Latin America's most active LGBTQ+ and retiree expat scenes, and the social infrastructure around that is real. Restaurants, healthcare, English language services, and a reliable rental market are all established. The honest caveats: high season pricing from November through April can effectively double rates in the tourist zones, and resort area pricing has crept inland over the past several years. Budget planning needs to account for seasonal cost variation. And there you have it. 15 genuinely underrated destinations where a $1,200 to $2,000 monthly budget buys a quality of life that is simply not available at that price point in the US, UK, or Canada. From the hill villages of Abruzzo to the Pacific shores of Puerto Vallarta, the options are broader and more accessible than most people realize. If you found this useful, consider subscribing. We cover destinations like this every week. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.